Things aren't going so well for Vyacheslav Malev right now. The 54-year-old construction foreman has built many of Moscow's recent apartment complexes. But his advancing age means he's started losing contracts to younger workers, and the recently announced retirement age hike means he won't get his pension at 60 anymore. He's got to wait till he's 65.
Among the people I know, everybody is shocked because people have planned their lives and now they'll have to replan it for another 5 years at least. I'll have to downgrade my salary expectations to find work. The boss isn't interested in hiring older people if there's a 40-year-old available, even if he has fewer skills.
On Sunday, opposition leader Alexei Navalny called thousands of people onto the streets in cities across Russia. Labour unions are mobilising for protests too. Pension reform is almost uniformly unpopular. More than 2 million people have signed a petition against it, and 92% of Russians recently polled said they opposed it. But with an ageing population and the demographic hole left after the birth rate collapsed following the fall of the Soviet Union, it means that the pressure on the state pension fund is unsustainable. Russia is approaching a situation where for every working-age adult there is one dependent, be that pensioner or child. Reform has been put off for years, but with presidential elections safely out of the way and the country distracted by the World Cup, the government feels that the time is as good now as it's ever likely to be. The Kremlin has tried to keep its distance from the pension reform fallout, but approval ratings are still taking a hammering. Public confidence in Vladimir Putin has sunk to the lowest it's been since the 2014 annexation of Crimea gave his popularity a boost. Those for the government are much worse. Political scientist Yekaterina Shulman thinks there could be trouble ahead for Russia's leadership.
According to the popular scheme, when the president is responsible for all the external policy victories and the government is responsible for all the internal policy losses. So far it has been a success. Pension reform will be a test of this scheme, such a test as it hadn't seen in decades.
Although the polls suggest popular anger is rising, some older Russians aren't sure where to direct this. And they don't like what they see on state television of uprising in countries like Ukraine.
I wouldn't participate in a rally because our society is not ready for rallies. The leaders who organise them are not real leaders. People won't follow them. I think for the last 10 years people got used to a calm life, and we see the experience of former Soviet republics. We don't want to have the same.
After the World Cup is over, it's entirely possible a compromise on this deeply unpopular reform will be announced. For now, the Kremlin is watching carefully to see how far it can push it and where the public's breaking point is. Rory, Challands, Aljazeera, Moscow.